back again with another YouTube Q&A. This is round 2 as the first one cropped my head off, so I've readjusted the camera and we're going to try it again. So every week I'm trying to do these Q&As. I'm going to go through TikTok comments every week, try and make sure I'm answering the things that you want to know about. So people have been asking about running, gym work, athletic events, and I'm going to take those questions each week, give you some kind of answers and information, advice and tips that hopefully you'll find useful and informative. If I haven't covered any of the things you want to know about, then write in the comments below and let me know what topics I should cover next time. So we're going to go through some questions, I'm going to give my answers, and hopefully you'll find it useful.
What do your athletes do in a training week?
So the way my training week is set up is for my 4 combined event athletes. So I have 2 athletes who do decathlon and 2 athletes who do heptathlon. The decathlon's 10 events, the heptathlon's 7 events. So I have to make sure that across the week we hit as many of those events as possible, and we're building up all the different factors that they need to be good at, like speed, strength, endurance, plyometrics, things like that. So on a Monday, in general speaking, it changes during the year, but on a Monday they have a track session followed by a gym session. On Tuesday they will do some mobility, get some treatment, and then they're at the track doing technical work like speed and long jump. On a Wednesday they're back doing tempo runs, then they have mobility and yoga, and then they have gym. I think they actually have 3 or 4 sessions on a Wednesday. In heavier periods of winter they did have that as an active recovery day, but just lately we're using it more as an accessory day. On Thursday they're back at the track for technical work, usually hurdles and high jump. Friday they have their lactic runs. Usually by Friday they're really tired, and we do the lactic runs then, so it really finishes them off before the weekend. They also do gym on a Friday evening. Saturday is their day off. They get to rest fully, no track, no gym, nothing on a Saturday, maybe some treatment if they need to get that. Then Sunday it's more technical work. So the way the week works is, in my head and the way I program, it's from Sunday through to Friday, then Saturday's the rest day. And we've done that for years, and it just seems to be the best way to get results out of the athletes.
Any tips for middle schoolers running track?
So I'm presuming middle school in America is similar to middle school here, so I'm thinking early kind of teenage years. The best thing I advise with people doing track at a young age is to enjoy it. Really kind of try as many events as possible. Jumps, throws, runs, combined events. You don't know what you're going to be good at. Just because you're fast when you're in kind of year 7, year 8, so 12, 13, doesn't mean that you're maybe not going to be a really good jumper by the time you get to year 9, year 10. So give yourself the option. Learn the techniques, look after your bodies, get a good coach. Surround yourself with a good team. Make sure that your training group are supportive and they're positive. Involve your parents in your goals. Make sure they're aware of what you're doing, how important it is to you. And I think in general, really enjoy yourself. Enjoy the experiences that track provides.
How do you run for a long time and not get tired?
So running's a tricky one. Like last year, a lot of people started running through COVID and kind of as a means of exercise when everything was shut. And I think a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to run, so I'm going to go out and run a 5k. I'm going to go and run a 10k. I'm going to run for 30 minutes. Start small. Start with maybe, I'm going to run for 2 minutes, then I'm going to walk for 2 minutes. Or I'm going to run 200 metres, walk 200 metres. Do interval training, mix it up. Kind of don't throw yourself in the deep end and then be surprised when you're struggling. So you need to really build up the intensity, build up the volume week on week. It's kind of a long-term project, getting better at any kind of sport, especially running, where you've got heavy impacts if you're running on roads. So again, maybe mix up the variables there, run on grass sometimes, run on track, run on road, and just let the body ease its way in. Don't try and just shock the body with a really long, hard run and then wonder why you're not improving.
How do you program for multi-events?
So I touched on it obviously in the first question. Programming for multi-events is tough because they have so many events to cover. The decathlon is 10 individual events, the heptathlon is 7. It's really hard to be able to do all of the events every single week. So some weeks we won't do javelin. Some weeks we might not get to pole vault. You have to kind of program according to the time of year as well. So in the winter, it's all about trying to get in the volume of the plyometrics, the running, the strength work, whereas in the summer, we're trying to bring everything towards competition. So it's really difficult to try and get that balancing act. I've been guilty in previous years. Sometimes I've gone too much on speed. Sometimes I've stayed away from technical for too long. And it's a real fine art trying to balance everything so that the athletes constantly are improving throughout the year. And when it gets to a competition, not only are they physically ready, but they're mentally ready as well. If you hammer them in training for 6 months, they're not going to feel fresh. They're not going to feel ready to go out and compete. They're going to be battered. They're going to be feeling like they're not in their best mindset and physical shape. So it's really build that big base in the winter, and then towards the summer we try and narrow it down, and at the peak of that we've got the competition phase. And that's kind of what I look for in the training program.
Which is more important for hurdlers, mobility or speed?
So, you can be a world-class hurdler without being a world-class sprinter. So the idea is, with hurdles, that you are running at as fast as possible, but you've still got to take the barriers. You have to be pretty fast. So if you are a world-class female hurdler, you need to be running the 100 metres in around 11.5 seconds. That isn't going to make you an international level, well, a world-class elite level sprinter, but you will have enough speed to be able to take those barriers at speed and run some good hurdles times. You need to be mobile, otherwise you're not going to be able to take them barriers at those high speeds. You need to be flexible and you need to be strong. So I don't think one is more important than the other, but you have to be reasonably fast and reasonably mobile. So there's not kind of one that's better than the other, it's a combination of both.
Most stressful event to coach?
So to coach, it's pole vault. That's why I don't coach pole vault. I wasn't very good at pole vault. I don't really understand the technical aspects of the pole vault, so I don't coach the pole vault. My athletes are coached by someone in Leeds who does their pole vault. Out of the events I actually coach, I think high jump can be stressful because in training a lot of time you're tired. So it's quite difficult to high jump when you're fatigued and you've got an obstacle in the way. So hurdles, high jump, pole vault, the long jump board, they're all obstacles, and I think that makes it stressful. At a competition, I would say the easiest events to coach at a competition are track events because you kind of stand back and watch, whereas something like the high jump, as a coach, you're really involved. You've got to check their markers, you've got to see from different angles where they are over the bar. Same in long jump, you have to make really important calls. If they fouled, and they've got to get their next jump in, it's on you as a coach to tell them where to move their marker. And sometimes that could be great if you nail it and get it right, but if you get it wrong, that's quite stressful on both you and the athlete.
Do you enjoy coaching on comp days?
So that moves on from the last question into this one. Coaching on comp days, when your athletes are in shape and when they're positive and when they're happy, it's so easy because you know you're just going to go to that competition, they're going to smash it, they're going to do PBs, they're going to get out of it what they want. When the athletes aren't confident or they're carrying injuries and niggles or they're tired from training, that makes it a different experience. And I think a lot of it comes with experience. With younger athletes, they don't have that maturity to be able to handle the stresses of competition. So as a coach, you're trying to not only coach them, but kind of guide them through. And I think older athletes, it's not all sunshine and rainbows because there's pressure. They have a level of expectation that they put on themselves. They have sponsors, they have team selection. When you're trying to get picked for a major championship, there's so many external factors. There's money involved as well. So I do enjoy competition days, but it can be more stressful than actual training days and coaching at the track.
Best weightlifting exercises for multi-eventers?
So on the TikTok, I've not really covered that much in terms of the gym work that we do. Gym is a huge part of our training, but I think it depends on the athletes you're working with. So some of my athletes do more gym than others. Some of them lift heavier than others. It's about trying to balance it in the program. I really like hang power cleans. I think they're great at a moderate weight, moderate to heavy loading, and real fast high speeds. Same with power cleans below the knee as well. Just got to move that bar really, really quickly. Shoulder to overhead exercises, if they're done well, they're really useful, like push jerks and split jerks. I'm not a massive fan of kind of strict press, deep squats, bench and deadlifts, kind of your raw strength exercises. I think they have a place in every program, but you've got to be really careful with them, because sometimes the DOMs you get from them and the risk of injury isn't worth the benefits you get back from them.
Do you prefer to coach males or females?
So I've answered this one on TikTok before in the comments when people have asked, because I have 2 male athletes, 2 female athletes, and that's varied over the years, sometimes more males, sometimes more females. I much prefer the heptathlon over the decathlon, so the girls do the heptathlon, and I just think it's a much more fun event. It's a little bit more emotional because you're going off, you kind of roll through the 7 events quite quick, and it does go off that kind of adrenaline rush, whereas the decathlon is a bit more measured. It's a bit calmer. It's 10 events, and some of the events take a long time. But I've coached emotional female athletes, emotional male athletes. It's down to personality. You can get a really chilled female, a really chilled male. There's not a set kind of I can't coach boys or I can't coach girls. I think in general there's more pressure on girls as they're coming through school and through puberty at slightly younger age. Their bodies change quite dramatically, and that can be difficult for them and for the coach to program. Whereas the boys, it's a kind of a longer process in general of going through puberty, and they get kind of a lot more gains into their early 20s. So mindset comes into it a lot. If you've got a good female athlete who is aware that it does still take a long time to get to your peak performance, then you've got a real good mix there. Whereas if you've got a young female athlete who wants to be really good at 18, gets good early results, and then can't understand why she's not improving at 19, 20, 21, that can be a real tough kind of conflict, and I've seen that happen a lot of times. So to summarise, I prefer the heptathlon over decathlon, and I can coach males or females.
What school do you coach at?
So I think by school people mean kind of college, university. In America, we're based in the UK mainly, so I'm based in Durham. Lucy, who I coach, is based in Newcastle. He's doing a master's in York, but lives in Leeds. Aidan's in Doncaster, and Laura's in Germany. So we're all over the place. So we're not kind of based in one location. 2 of them compete for Gateshead Harriers. I'm kind of attached to Gateshead Harriers, but we do our own thing really. I work in some primary schools, and I've done bits of works with universities, but I prefer to have like my own track squad. I can choose who I coach, and it's on me really, rather than have someone else dictating who I coach and when I do the coaching.
Can you tell me how to run a 400 metre?
So running the 400 metres, it's one of them events where everyone has a different strategy. I think depending on who your coach is, the way you train will depend on how you run the 400. So I work with multi-eventers, so they do train speed, lactic, endurance, and 400 is that mixing pot of all of them. So you're trying to make sure that you are getting out fast for the first 60. Down the back straight, you're maintaining that speed. You do not want to be accelerating down the back straight because you're going to get lactic too soon. When you get to 200 metres, that's when you put in your next effort between 200 to 300 around the curve. Then the last 100 is all about who can maintain the best running mechanics. If you've got lactic and you're swinging them arms and your head's all over the place, your last 100's going to hurt. Whereas if you're keeping your arms right, you're upright, your chest's up, you're looking forwards, you're going to be eating up the ground in the last 100 metres. There are other people who go out super hard, they sprint the first 200, try and hang on, but it depends what you do in training. Depends what your strengths are as an athlete, but in general the rule is first 60 metres hard, next 140 metres maintain, next 100 metres work, last 100 metres hold on. But I hope that's useful. Gonna upload this onto YouTube as soon as possible, and hopefully every week I'm gonna answer the questions in these kind of videos, so you get longer answers than the TikTok 15 to 60 second videos. Make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel, And any extra comments that I've not covered, just comment below on the video and I'll try and get back to you on them.